Hi everyone, welcome to our CPS webinar today on transforming your work management with Microsoft Planner and Microsoft Planner Premium. And for agenda today, we'll start with some introductions and then we'll go through the state of work management at the moment, Microsoft tools and licenses that you can do and how it affects. We'll have a short demo with Sam and then we'll go through how CPS can help you at the end. So if we start with some introductions. So my name is Tyler Adams. I'm a commercial sales lead at CPS, and I'm here to talk about who CPS are, and also I'll be joining you at the end just to talk to you about how we can help you going forward with some of the services that we're offering. If I pass to my colleague Sam.
Thanks, Tyler. Yes, morning everyone. Sam Whitehouse. I'm the Modern Work Management Technical Lead here at CPS. So what does that mean? As you'll see in the video, Microsoft have a suite of tools to help you with work management. So my team focus on the consultancy side of that. So we help organizations really get up to speed in their modern work management deployment with Microsoft.
Wonderful, thanks. And if we're moving on to a little bit of an introduction about who CPS are, so you can find us at cps.co.uk, but we're a Microsoft Solutions provider and managed service provider with 29 years experience in this industry. I think we turned 30 in January, and while we cover across the Microsoft stack, our bread and butter started in Microsoft PPM. I think about 25 years ago or so, and we're a team of 75 really passionate technologists across the stack. And on the right hand side there, you can see the solutions partner designations covering modern work, business applications, and security. We're also a fast track partner as well, and it's not on the screen, but in this topic more specifically, this year we were the finalists for Microsoft PPM. So and we've won that award twice before. So we've got a huge amount of experience in this area. You can see all of the industry standard accreditations on the screen, as well as the cybersecurity essentials, and we're ProSci change management practitioners. And you can find us, you can reach out to us personally, but also on G Cloud and JustCar and stuff if you're transacting from a public sector perspective. And I'll pass over to you, Sam, to go through the technical side.
Sure. Thanks, Tyler. Ahead. So just before we really start with some more information about Microsoft Work Management, I just want to ask a question to the audience, and it's really about your work management challenges. So often we come into organizations and there's a variety of challenges, be that what are my people doing? I just don't have a central place to manage my projects. It's always different every time. I mean, we've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of customers now, and the challenges are similar, but actually ultimately they are different depending on who you are. So if you could, there is the ability to put some feedback in the comment section. So if you wouldn't mind just maybe putting a quick summary of the challenges that you face within the organization. Okay, just give it another couple of seconds for everyone's feedback to be put in. I think we're having some technical difficulties. Some of the questions getting in. There's a couple coming in. So yeah, feedback. So some cultural shifts, some technical issues. I mean, we get that a lot actually, where a lot of organisations kind of start and build stuff, and then kind of call us in for a little bit of help and support, and maybe just making sure that you're doing the right thing. I know that with some of the tools, particularly the early Microsoft tools like Microsoft Project Desktop, to a degree in its own right, to be honest, it can get really complicated. So, making users, particularly users that are maybe early on in their career or kind of apprentices, give them a project plan, tell them to do a value analysis. It's not as straightforward as maybe some of the more modern tools are a bit easier and easier to use, etc. So, absolutely, technology can be a big challenge, and the cultural shift. So change management is always a big element of this. You've got people working in a certain way. Maybe they like Excel spreadsheets, or they love OneNote to manage their projects. To then just make somebody use a P3M tool without support, training, guidance, and that whole change wrapper can be difficult. So some interesting thoughts there. So I guess Microsoft have done a lot of work around, what the state of collaborative work management is, as they call it. And effectively, work management incorporates project management as well, but it's people that do work, so it covers a really broad spectrum. And during their studies, they found that 59% of employees say that their collaboration tools are not aligned with how teams prefer to work. So what we see in the modern age is, again, you've got teams as organizations merge, get bigger, people come in and out of businesses, and they have their own ways of working, they have their own tools which worked, and it's really a challenge to kind of align them and make sure that everyone's following the same tools and ultimately giving the same data that is needed for those decision making. We also see that 64% of employees say their current collaboration tools don't integrate with other processes. So again, another challenge, having a tool that actually isn't very flexible. Maybe you can't customize it as much as you need to, or maybe it's a third-party responsibility to customize it. And the last part, so 72% of employees wish their collaboration tools were compatible with one another. So similar to kind of the second point, one's really around processes and making the tool fit around your processes. There's always that age-old debate around, should it be processes dictating tools or vice versa. But really, if you do have other tools like DevOps or maybe Power BI or your finance systems, actually, you probably want them to talk. And the reason for that is to reduce duplicate data. As a project manager, you've got, or whatever role that you play in the organization, you've probably got a lot on your plate. I'm sure if we had the question of, are you busy? Are you at max? Then the answer will be yes. So actually, to make users force duplicate data isn't ideal. So where we can make it a little bit more efficient and do that data transfer for them automatically, so they don't have to, put in multiple write documents with multiple data, update finance system and then the project management system, just ultimately saves time for our users. So the modern suite of work management tools are on screen. Now, again, Microsoft refer to it as kind of work management, but actually that incorporates kind of the really basic from to do. And what we mean by that, typically to do is, my plans for today. Maybe I've got an activity to chase up with Tyler about an account. Maybe I've got a little to do, which is just review this document that someone's asked me to do. They're not really connected in any way to the project. They're just your day-to-day tasks, and really they're not to do. Whilst you can collaborate on them, there are better tools available that allow you to collaborate on tasks as well. So we've start off with a really basic to do, but actually, when we want to move to a bit more of a collaborative work management, we really lean on Planner. So Planner in the last few years have had, significant update from Microsoft. We've really seen an increase in features and functionality. which we'll go on into a second. But ultimately, Planner is a way of teams setting up a plan, as it's referred to, or a project. You could argue, and then assigning tasks to individuals and progressing them across charts and buckets, etc. Now, I know a lot of us probably have used Planner before, but actually, one thing that you'll find when you're thinking a little bit more about the project space, so we're talking maybe a bit more formal project management, where maybe we want to look at a bit like resource analysis, or we want to put a little bit more information about our tasks. We want to maybe look at baselines, or really anything where you think um, provide status on your project, etc. Planner um, Planner has kind of shifted into the project for the web space. Now we'll see in a second that actually they've kind of combined the two. So wording is a little bit different. Microsoft do change their wording a lot. Project for the web is effectively now Planner Premium. So we'll see that in a second. So you've got your to do, which is your basic tasks. You've got Planner, which is for your kind of smaller teams or smaller work management. But really, when you want to talk about kind of project, bit more formal project management, is where you'll go to Planner Premium. Or again, in kind of old money, is Project for the Web. We've left it on there because I know that's what a lot of people know the tool as. And if we go back to the previous slide, one of the comments was around people doing work in their own way. So actually, I know a lot of organizations that we've come in, and a lot of people use just Planner, and they really like that. Some organizations just simply use To Do, some use Excel. But actually, the idea is that we can get all of these tools and we can combine them together to have one single unified experience. So this is really where, and you'll probably see this pop up in your organizations very soon. If it's probably been around in tenants for a couple of months now. And the idea is they're merging all of their work management tools in one. You can see this new logo. This is the new Microsoft Planner. And it incorporates, I'm just going to go back, and it incorporates all three of these tools into one. So what that gives you is the simplicity of To Do and Planner, the flexibility of Project for the Web, which we'll go on to kind of customizing that in a second. The scalability of Project for the Web as well. So if you do have your simple plans, but you have a lot of them, you can now kind of scale that up and make sure that you've got the underlying infrastructure to support that, and the intelligence. So Copilot isn't a new word now. Hopefully everyone knows what Copilot is. But actually, Microsoft are investing in all of their tools, Microsoft Planner included, by giving us some AI and Copilot features, which again we'll look at in this session. So Microsoft have bucketed work management and the work management landscape into two sections. So we talked about it a little bit with the tools, and we've got the kind of collaborative work management. And when we look at the tools, we're probably talking about kind of Planner and To Do. But the typical users, we see kind of small teams, HR teams. As a HR, I need to manage a backlog of incidents. As a finance team, I've got a few kind of tasks. They're not really super project based. Maybe they'll dip the toes into projects every so often, but ultimately they're kind of BAU style activity. So we can see on the screen here, we've got kind of individual task management, team projects that aren't too formal. Kanban boards, always a popular one. We can kind of see the team workload and the dependencies and the AI. So we've got this kind of collaborative work management where we don't really see much need for things like portfolio management, RAID management, some advanced reporting, etc. It's a list of tasks that maybe the team get together on a Monday and just chat through the tasks and etc. The kind of flip side to that is the kind of enterprise world. So we've got professional project managers, professional management organizations where we have, larger organizations following Prince, kind of APM, etc. And really the functionality gives them, the things they need. So the portfolio management, kind of agile management in the tool, resource management, and we'll look a little bit about that. OKR management, So if you wanted to manage your kind of strategic objectives and key results, we can do that in the tool. Some of the advanced reporting, which we'll see in a second. If you want to do kind of cost management, that's there as well, and some more advanced scheduling and AI as well. So we've got this split between the kind of two roles. And if we tie them to the tools that are now available to you, we've got the collaborative work management side, which is this new planner app. So you can actually go, if you go to Teams, you should be able to find it. Again, I'll show you the demo in a second. But we've got the planner app, which has all of the capabilities of planner, plus a few extras, things like Copilot, things like that. But then we've got the enterprise work management. So the enterprise work management leverages a lot of the great features from the planner app. So the boards, all of the planner stuff that we've come to love, but actually with the addition of building your system out to be a little bit more enterprise. So when we go back to the kind of two requirements, ultimately the data is the same. The data under the bonnet will be available for you to report on. But actually, it gives you this split to say, well, where do I sit within this Microsoft ecosystem? Do I need an enterprise management system, or actually, does the new planner features give me everything that I need to manage my my day-to-day activities? So we are going to put a poll up in the chat now. I think before we couldn't put a poll just because of the free text, but if we could just get the poll set up, if that's okay. So the question really is, how do you classify yourself? Do you see yourself and your organization as a collaborative work management, or really do you see yourself as enterprise work management? Okay. So we're at about 50-50, keeps kind of shuffling. Okay. So I'm just going to end the poll there. So we've got kind of a split between the two really. We've got lots of people here who kind of say collaborative work management, and also lots on the call who are in that kind of enterprise space. Now, there is kind of another section, and there is this hybrid. Actually, if you look at very large organisations, kind of like the government departments, etc. There'll be a bit of both. Actually, they have HR and finance teams that need that collaborative work management, but they also have project management offices that need both. So there is a kind of space for both here really. So always the interesting one, licenses. What licenses do I need to run and operate these? Probably one of the most common questions that we get. Luckily, it's relatively simple. I know that a lot of the Microsoft licensing, simple isn't the word really for it, but for the collaborative work management, as a user, if you've got an enterprise or academy equivalent license, so your E3s, E5s, E1s, etc., or you've got any of the Microsoft business plans, you actually get Planner, the new Planner capabilities included. The Planner Premium, the kind of premium features, which again I'll distinguish in the demo, hopefully it'll make more sense. The premium features, that's when you'll need a specific project plan license. So project plan 1, project plan 3, or planner plan 3 as they're now called. So you've kind of got that split between the two. And actually, most of you probably already have your planner included. And actually, when you need to go or kind of dip your toes into the premium section, actually that's when you can kind of ask your internal IT for a license to be able to perform that project. So again, typical user cases is, I'm a HR team. I'm happy with Planner, but actually I've got a few projects coming that I know that I'm going to be working on that might need some of the premium features. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a project premium license. I'm going to create a few premium projects and then kind of get them set up. So last question is around the licenses. So if you could, just an indication of the licenses that you currently have. Do you have Planner already? Are you using it with your enterprise licenses? Do you have your project licenses at the moment? So if we could just put up the second poll, if that's okay. you can, in this poll, you can actually tick all that apply. So we've added an extra one for Power BI. Now I know a lot of organizations have Power BI, either through their um, E5 licenses, which includes Power BI automatically, or just everyone in the org has a dedicated Power BI. Okay. So we've got a mixed bag. We've got some project plan licenses, which again you'll be able to use all of the features that we'll show today. We've got some Microsoft Business licenses. Again, that allows you to use the planner capabilities. Power BI. Power BI is awesome, so I'm glad to see lots of people having Power BI. And then we've got some enterprise licenses on as well. There is a question in the chat. So we've got Planner and Project P3 subscription. Does this include Planner Premium? Yes, it does. So kind of the Microsoft licensing, there used to be for Project Online, if you are familiar with that. Their old project licenses were kind of Plan 1, Plan 3, and Plan 5. And as they've moved to Project for the Web, or Planner Premium as it's now known, they've kept the same license structure. So if you've got Project Plan 1, 3, or 5 licenses, you will get the functionality in Project for the Web or Planner Premium as you do with your project licenses. Okay, so I'm just going to go through the demo. I'm just going to get my screen. Yeah. So we're going to be demoing two things. We're going to be demoing the Planner app. So again, on that left side in the kind of collaborative space, and then more the enterprise. So I'm just going to get my teams up. One of the first things you'll see is dark mode. Big fan of dark mode on the screen there. But actually, I'm just going to take you through a bit of a day in the life of a kind of user in the Planner space. So on here, we've got a list of all of my teams. And we can see here on the left-hand side, I've got Planner. So I'm just going to click on the Planner app. If you don't see it, maybe click on the three dots and it might appear in your item here. So what I can see a number of screens on my page, which allows me to see, my day. I can see all of the tasks that I've been assigned to. I've got no tasks that have been assigned to me for today. I can see a list of all of my tasks. And actually what I can do is I can kind of click on the three dots next to them and I can add them to my day to say that I'm going to be working on them. I can open up the details of the task to see the planner information. And hopefully you'll be familiar with kind of planner and how planner works. So we'll really just be demoing the kind of additional capabilities. So you've got all of the capabilities that you have within planner. So this My Tasks currently gives you all of the tasks that you're assigned to in OneNote, all across your planner, and also in your Planner Premium default environment. It's up currently on the roadmap to pull in any kind of non-default tasks into here, which hopefully will be released in the next kind of year or so. But at the moment, it's really just all of your stuff from those three tools that we looked at before. When I kind of update data here, that will then push back into those plans. So if I just kind of mark this as complete, as well as getting that really satisfying tick, I've got, it will then update in the planner plans. And actually I can click on all of the tasks and I can see absolutely everything. So I've got some flagged emails. So it actually pulls through from Outlook as well. I've got some private tasks, which is kind of it's not connected to a plan at all. Things that have been assigned to me, and then any flag details, as we said. So really useful for the individual user to look at. I'm going to go to my plans now and see a list of all of the plans or projects, however you want to define them, in one space. But what I can do is I can see I've got all of these plans here. I can click show more. And, let's say I've got all these plans. Actually, I don't really care about all of them. I only really, want to see the ones on the left. You can actually click and hover and you can actually pin and unpin plans. And what that does is it kind of gives you this dedicated area here for you to kind of play around with. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to show you some of the kind of Copilot features that are available to you. So I'm just going to create a new plan. And we've got lots of different templates or examples that we can use with this. The basic plan is your planner. So, again, everything that you've got within Planner at the moment, you'll have. When you start to assign your premium licenses, so when you go to P1, P3, this is really where you get all of those capabilities of Copilot, etc., and timelines. So actually, I'm going to create a premium plan, and I'm going to call this the design of a new electric bike. So we're an electric bike organization, and the project is called Operation Velodrome. And I'm going to add it to my PIM plans, and I'm just going to add it to the Prevention First project, and I'm going to create the plan. So what that'll do is that'll go through and create me what's called a premium plan. So there are differences between a kind of standard and a premium plan. I'm just going to click on a standard plan. You'll see some of the things here that we'll go on to a second. And actually, when we come to a standard plan, you've got kind of like less functionality effectively. What you can do is you can actually convert a plan to a premium plan. So what we see here is, a HR team, maybe they're running a project and actually they're doing their planner activities, they're moving things across, and actually they've noticed that they need some additional functionality. You can do a one-time convert into a premium plan where actually you get those additional capabilities that we'll see now. So really useful for saying, actually we've started out, but we need to go premium. So we've got a few extra things here to play around with, but actually I'm going to show you the Copilot features because they are awesome. And if I click on the Copilot, and if you're not familiar with the idea of prompts, you can kind of ask Copilot to do stuff, create tasks, create buckets, etc., and it will go away and do that. So the prompt I've just kind of got pre-ready is build a project for the design and build of a new electric bike. Project should have a deadline of the 28th of the 2nd and include summary tasks for initiation, design, build, test, manufacture, with detailed tasks for each. So I'm going to tell Copilot to do that, and it will go away and it will build those tasks. Okay. So super powerful. Again, you can put your own prompts in. So if you've got a business case maybe, or you've got some ideas about the description of the project, it can start to kind of define this work breakdown structure for you. And again, because you're in Planner Premium, these are just tasks. So we've got this additional grid view here, which you can see some additional information. I can have like hierarchies for tasks, so I can group things together. But I've still got all of the functionality available to me in Planner. So you can see here I've got different buckets. I've got I can click on it and it will give me the same kind of pop-up as Planner with some additional things that we'll go on to in a second. So really the experience is kind of the same, but just with extra features. So what I'm going to do in Copilot is actually I'm going to say, well, I actually need to add some more detail here. Within my build section, I've got some kind of tasks here, but actually what I want to do is I want to add some prototypes to the build section. Okay, so there's not really tasks here around kind of building prototypes. There we go. So what it's actually done is it's created in the design section a subsection called create prototypes with two subsections around create prototype 1 and prototype 2. So as you start to use the Copilot capabilities, you can kind of build up the schedule of activity. What also is available to you is goals. So we're going to have a look at some additional things here on the top. So I've got my list of tasks. Actually, I'm going to create a goal now. Now, a goal is, kind of specific things. What do you want to achieve with this project? Outputs maybe, or some people have used it as kind of their benefits or their lists. So we can see here that automatically Copilot has generated some goals for me. One of the goals is complete the project closure by the 28th. One of them is begin manufacturing by the 25th, and one is finishing the testing phase by the 2nd. So it's kind of guessed like some goals for me and the kind of tasks that I need to achieve those goals. But actually, I'm going to create my own goal here, and I'm going to say, well, actually, my goal here is to kind of build electric first like. So, actually, we really need the first prototype done by, let's say, January. Okay, so you've got kind of specific dates here, and we can actually, once that's been created, I can connect some tasks to it. So what tasks will enable this to be completed? Well, actually the prototype is probably the first one. So I can say, actually, these tasks ultimately deliver that goal. And when we start to put in finish dates, it will then calculate all the variants and things like that. But as a project manager, as a user, what I can do is I can actually track whether these are on have been achieved or not. Okay, so goals really, really useful for kind of that key output setting. So we've talked about kind of Copilot developing some items for us. Again, there's so many prompts that you can ask it. There's lots of default prompts as well. But actually, let's get into the kind of details of what you can do with Planner Premium and your schedule of activity. So for all of my tasks, I can define a start and finish date. Okay, so these tasks will start on the 28th, and that starts on the 21st, etc. Awesome. Well, actually, I can now say, well, the duration of this is 10 days, and what you'll see is it will automatically push my finish date. So depending on how you want to manage your tasks and activity, you can really define kind of dates, durations. I've still got my buckets, which I showed you before in the boards. I can actually provide some progress, so I can put 50% in here. I've got a priority bucket, so similar to Planner. But actually, with the additional capabilities, I've got things like dependencies. So dependencies is super useful. So actually, rather than kind of manually putting in the dates, I can actually add dependencies on tasks. So a dependency effectively means, these two tasks have a relationship on one another. So, for example, in order for me to identify my stakeholders, I need to define my scope and objectives, because then I know who needs to be on the project. So I can actually click on this depends on, and you can see it suggests a task to link. Well, actually, I do want to link it to number 2. So I'm going to click on that, and you'll see it's added a dependency. So what that's effectively saying is, well, this task can't start until this task is finished. And ultimately what that means is if I push this task back, you'll notice that it's then pushed this task back. So rather than you manually kind of assigning your dates, actually, if something does slip, what you don't want to have to do is then go through all of your tasks and activity and then push them manually. If you define your dependencies, that will automatically do it for you. So we can see here that the finish date is now the 18th. Now we've pushed it to the 19th. And there's lots and lots of different dependency types that I can define. So I can define, start to start dates, start to finish dates. If I click on this arrow here, I can define start finish. So depending on how the tasks relate, and I can also add a lag as well. So I can say, actually, I've got to wait 5 days after this task is finished for it to move. So some really nice capabilities in the schedule part there as well. As a project manager, wouldn't it be useful to see your stuff in a Gantt chart? Well, yes, absolutely. And here it is. So this is a live interactive Gantt chart. So it really shows you all of your tasks, the start and the finish dates if you had them populated. But also I can actually interact with this. So if I want to extend this task out, if I want to maybe add some more dependencies, if I had more tasks, I can kind of create dependencies between the tasks. So it's really good for kind of interacting with your project, or just kind of zooming out and seeing a Gantt style view of your project as well. Beauty of this is you've got kind of filters, so you can see late projects, late tasks. You can see tasks on your critical path if you define dependencies. So we've got a Gantt chart view there as well. What we can also do within the tool is actually we can start to look a little bit more around resource management. So what I mean by that is I can click on my assign to, and actually I can assign myself a task. Awesome, great, that was in Planner. What you can do additionally is you can actually go to the assignments view, and you'll actually get a breakdown of how the system has calculated your booking on that task. So it's a task for 16 hours, and it's assigned me the work 8 hours on the 12th, and if I go back another period, it would assign me some more time there as well. But actually, our work doesn't often work like that. Our work is a little bit varying. So actually, if you wanted to update this and say, well, I'm only going to work 4 hours on this date, I can put in 4 hours there. Maybe I can add some more time. And what that will actually do is it will automatically update the system with your with the amount of effort that you're going to be working on. So if I add my effort column now, we can see actually my duration is 10 days, but my effort has changed to 16 hours. So the assignments view is great for looking at what work people are doing. I can view it on a weekly or monthly basis. So here we go. I've got 4 hours on the 12th, and then 12 hours on the on the 2nd, and 12 hours on the 19th. And again, as a project manager, I can say, well, actually, I'm going to be mean and force you to work 20 hours, which hopefully you won't be doing, and then 20 hours on there as well. So super useful for a little bit more detailed planning. Okay, so you now that you've got the kind of capabilities of once you've got your planner license, you can start to create these premium plans and looking at those additional capabilities. A few extras, just conscious of time, so we'll look at the other side as well. You can add things like new fields. So if you wanted to add a custom choice field to say, I don't know, status, good, bad, of a terrible example, but hopefully you'll have better statuses. So you've got the ability to add bad, not baz, good, bad, and other. Okay, so really it's got, the key takeaway is planner's great. You've got planner licenses, the additional capabilities, Copilot, assignments, goals, timeline views is where you'll need the premium capabilities for. The beauty of having those premium capabilities is actually if you do want to start to look at, how does an enterprise system look? Actually, it's the same licenses. So the second that your organization thinks about buying P1s and P3 licenses, what you get is you get the ability to build out an enterprise system. And what I mean by an enterprise system is, as you can imagine, this gives you extra capabilities, but organizations that have more mature requirements, well, they probably need to build out some processes and some automation and some other RAID logs, for example. So I'm going to show you an example of a system that we've kind of built out from scratch. So this is one of our kind of accelerators that we've built, and it's based on all of the feedback that we've had from deploying these systems with our customers. We've ultimately created a standard development offering. So I'm just going to take you into here. I'm just going to go back to the home page. So with the project licenses, you'll get access to the app. So you'll get access to this enterprise project app, and it sits within the Power Platform. So the second that you actually create a project in there, it'll give you this app, bare bones, obviously for you to start customizing. So this again is just kind of the limits and the capabilities of the tools that we'll show. So we've created a custom homepage. So similar to the homepage that you saw in Planner, but this shows you all of your kind of formal project tasks. So across all of the different projects that I've got, all the plans as it's referred to now, I can see all of my tasks in here. But also I can view things like my projects, so all the projects that I'm assigned to and their status. I can view all of the risks. We'll go on to the RAID logs in a second, but in theory you can build logs and any kind of RAID log, and I can see all of the risks that I've been assigned to. All of my issues, so issues on projects that have arisen. And we've also developed a timesheet module as well, which we'll go through. So if I had any timesheets, which I've completed them in this instance, it won't be here, but we'll show you that in a second. So let's start with kind of project requests. So, as an organization, you may have a request for a project, a more formal project. Where does that go? So the project requests really allows you to store potential projects. And I'm just going to go into the Intune development project here. And I've got a form. So the app that you get, the kind of project for the web app that you get with your licenses is very kind of form based. So it kind of handles the back end structure for you. And really you're just creating columns and forms and views, etc. So we've got an example of a request here. So Intune deployment, I've got some information about the costs and the benefits, which all can be configured depending on what you need. And at the bottom here, we've got some prioritization. So if we're thinking about an organization that has lots and lots of requests coming in for projects, I need an Intune deployment, I need to deploy a project for the web. You can start to add them to these lists and then prioritize them. So actually the cost of this is high. I'm just going to update this record and we can see that prioritization score has updated for me. So lots and lots of useful things here. Basically, it's a kind of form with custom fields added. But again, if I wanted to, I'm putting my kind of enterprise hat on. Well, actually, I want to start to look at some of the resource requirements for these projects. So, have I got the right people in to be able to deliver this project? Well, you don't know that unless you feed the data right. So I can actually see here that in the Intune deployment, I've noted I need 3 resources. I'm in there twice for some reason. And actually, you can start to profile how much demand you need for them. So 50 hours in this example in May, 50 hours in June. And we'll look at some of the resource reports that you can get out of this as well. So what you're feeding in here, there's a request for a future project. I've put some information in. I've actually told it what resources I might need to deliver it as well. So the great thing about this, and this is really where with your licenses, you can kind of go to town on what you get. So we've done lots and lots of examples with kind of lifecycle approvals, Teams integration. So if someone clicks, if I just go to this record, so we can see the status here is new. I've got this submit for approval button. Do you want to submit for approval? Yes. And actually that'll go to the sponsor of this project, Lester Lovelock, in his Teams for approval. And he'll click on a button in Teams and it will automatically create a project for you. So lots and lots of examples. You don't have to have that, but really just showing you the kind of art of the possible of the tool. Now, if we go to the plans section, so we're talking about kind of either projects that have come through from the requests, or you can just create a new plan. So, this is kind of, as we saw in the Teams area, the plans were created kind of directly in this planner space. But actually, because we've gone to this kind of enterprise grade app that you get with your licenses, the kind of data is stored in its own environment, just kind of for protection. And the reasons for that, we have lots of organizations that want lots and lots of different project for the web apps. Maybe they have multiple teams, etc., multiple business units. So they have their own dedicated app with their own customization. So I'm just going to go into the example of a plan. And we can see here I've got some extra stuff here. So we've got some details about what the project is. So its name, its stage, its summary. I've actually got a life cycle at the top. So the idea of this is, I'm currently in the close stage, and you can see that by clicking on a particular stage, to move to the next stage, I need some data. So we're starting to enforce kind of good data practices. As an enterprise, you want to make sure that you've got the right data at the right point in time. So having a kind of life cycle stage at the top allows you to do that. And again, we can tie approvals to this. So to move from close to benefits, you need to go through a series of approvals. All of that can kind of be set up. When I click on the schedule, we can see very familiar example, although it's in it's not in dark mode, so it might be a bit easier for you to see. It's the same underlying schedule as we see here. So you create a project, and we've got all of the stuff that I've showed you earlier with Planner. So this is kind of where the tools are similar. You can in the Planner space, you've got all of those schedule capabilities. You've got exactly the same in a dedicated app, but then you can start to build out your extras, your risks, your issues, your life cycles, all of the extra stuff that's not kind of plan based, I guess is probably the best way to say it. So you've got your dedicated schedule here. We've kind of added some extra things here around baseline management. So we can see here that, if you wanted to kind of say, well, we've agreed that actually this is the dates, we can actually set a baseline. And we can then start to track variance against that. When we get to the end of the project, it'll give you some insights around, the total variance. So we can see here it's just been rebaselined. But as I start to update the tasks, it shows slippage. So at the end of the project, you can say, well, actually, we said we were going to finish stage 1 on this date, but actually it was slipped. So some really good insights over that there as well. I can start to provide things like status reporting. So I can put, what's been accomplished, what have I got planned next period, some RAG data. And we can see here I've got a history of this. So really we're putting our kind of project management or status update hat on. And what we can do is we can see a history. So over time, this was the RAG of the project. So it was started amber, went to red, but actually we're kind of recovering. Again, all of this can be customized. You can kind of set a publish button and it'll take a snapshot. Or we've seen organizations say like the 30th of the month, we want all project managers to put the data in by, and it will just capture a snapshot for them all. There's some resource views here, which we kind of saw earlier. We'll go on to the resource ones in a second. And the last views really are around your RAID management. So if you're managing kind of risks to your project, issues, changes, dependencies, any of your kind of logs, historically we see these in kind of Excel. So the PM will have their own RAID log. Put them in the system, we can report on them. So we can kind of get really nice views, which I'll show in a second. So I've got 3 risks here on my project. I'm just going to open up the demo risk. And again, I've got a form. So we can see I've got, here's my risk, proximity of the risk. All of this can be kind of customized. So if you've got your own dedicated risk log, this is where we talked about having, the tool fit around your processes and your ways of working. Some useful things here, I can actually promote to an issue. So rather than having to close it down in one log and open it up in another log, I can just promote it to an issue. The system will take care of the rest for me. You can see it's inactivated this risk. And actually, if I go to the relationships, I can see I've got an issue against the project now. We can also, if you're doing program management, we can kind of escalate the risk up and down to the program as well, if that's something that you do. So we can see that risk has gone. Come into here, and I've got my demo risk is now an issue. So the issues log is pretty similar. We've got a change log of all the different changes. We've previously, at the moment, working with a few customers where they want, a change log, and actually that automatically updates the data. So if it's like a baseline or if it's a financial change, it then updates the kind of budgets and things like that. You can do cross-project dependency management. So on the left, we can see all of the inbound dependencies. Inbound dependencies. So dependencies that are kind of relying on me. So I've got 3 projects here that need my input. So I've got to deliver some data, deployment of a module, and testing environment setup. And the outbound is, all of the things that I need for people. So I need these projects to do these things by these dates. And actually, there's some really good views here where, we saw all of these different logs, risk decision changed against a project, but rolling that up at a bit more of a portfolio level, we actually can see a more holistic view of those. So I'm just going to take you to the risks log here. So this is awesome. Users get to see with the right access all of the risks across all of the different projects and programs. So if you're running risk review meetings, or you just want to see all high risks, I can filter that, and I've got all of the high risks across the portfolio. And that's similar for any of your other logs. So issues, great. Change requests, I can see all of the change requests. Dependencies, we see a lot of kind of ways of working where project managers on a Monday get together, click on this dependencies list, and looks through all of the different dependencies that are active and make sure that the projects are still delivering, things like that. So really useful. And the last is, lessons learned. So I'm just going to go back into a project, and if you do have any lessons learned on the project, you capture them at the project level. And similar to the others, I've got this holistic view of all of the lessons, which I can filter and search by. So the final thing I want to touch on is the reporting. So this allows the data stored in here. Whenever you add a record or a row, it stores within Dataverse. So you can query that very easily within Power BI. And actually, a lot of the data is live. So if you want to view the data, it is live. There is just a note that obviously the more data you have, obviously potentially the slower the report comes. But you rather than having to wait half an hour, you kind of just you don't have that requirement anymore. So this is just an example of some of the Power BI reports. So we've got some portfolio summary data. So all my projects by their life cycle, some RAGs, and all of this is kind of live and interactive. So this is Power BI basically. It kind of embeds within the system. So I can kind of click on that data and get some filters. I've got some portfolio metrics. So just a summary about it, our average duration of projects is 180 days. I've got some risks that are coming to become issues this month. Goals, so project goals that I've defined across my projects that are due to finish. Projects that are finishing this month, and a summary of RAG over time. I've got a portfolio roadmap, so summary of all my projects. I've got things like risk and issue reporting, so all of my risks with a nice kind of risk matrix there. I've got some milestone Gants, so all of my milestones across a kind of Gantt timeline. So here's all the milestones, here's when they're due to finish across my projects, and all of these again can be filtered. We've got a couple of kind of highlight reporting as well. So if you wanted to get like a project highlight report, so summary of the project, how it's doing, risks, issues, and tasks. I've got that in landscape and portrait as well. And the last kind of reporting really that I wanted to demo, there's a whole heap more. Again, if you're interested in anything that we've seen, just reach out to us. It's all about resource management. So what this is showing me is when I book people to a project, the bar at the top is effectively your capacity. So what that means is in September, I've got 1,976 hours of capacity for people to be booked on. And the bar is actually when I start to book them to projects, that fills up. So we can see here that in September, I've got 19 hours of demand from my project tasks, but actually my capacity is 1,976. So this gap means that I've got lots and lots of availability. And underneath, I can see that broken down by role and actually by user as well if I expand these out. But what I'm going to show you is I'm just going to filter on the project manager role. And actually, it tells a bit of a different story. In December and January, I'm over the line, so I'm over capacity. And actually, it showed up in red. So I need to do something about that. And actually, I can look and I can see, well, the data is actually me. So in December and January, I've got 51 hours, which I need to then either reallocate to somebody else or action effectively. So some really useful reporting there as well. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to the slides now, just slightly conscious of time. Microsoft have recently gone through Ignite, and if you don't know what Ignite is, it's effectively, whenever every year Microsoft will run an Ignite session, and all of their cool new features will be announced. And I just wanted to point you to a couple of features that are coming up on the roadmap, which are quite exciting. The first one is Project Manager Agents. So really the agent is a kind of, think of it as your little assistant, your little project manager assistant. It's not replacing the project manager role. It's kind of aiding that role, to be honest. So the kind of plan for it is to actually create a project, and this assistant really guides you through the project as you go along. So we can see here, it kind of creates goals for you. It can kind of show you a summary of like things that have been happening using AI to kind of analyze that. So tasks and things that have been updated. It starts to incorporate things like Microsoft Whiteboard into projects. So you can then, create and collaborate on tasks and then, create tasks from those ideas. And finally, it's integrating Microsoft Loop. So there's so many features that are available with that. What we will do, we do have a few videos, but the quality was a little bit off with them. So we will put the chat if you wanted to get a bit more information about these upcoming features in the session as well. And the second one is the portfolio management. So if ever you've used Microsoft roadmaps, really they're kind of enhancing that. So the idea of a roadmap is to collate all of the different projects and tasks into one central area so that you can see across your projects kind of how they are looking in one place. So some really exciting features there from Microsoft in the toolkit. So I'm going to hand you back over to Tyler just to kind of wrap up the session.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sam. Thank you. That was very comprehensive. So, where do you start with Planner and accessing its full capability? So, as Sam mentioned, with uh, with normal licenses, you get access to the Planner app in Teams. But if you were looking to, mature and progress into that sort of work management tool in more enterprise side, then we can. That's where we come in and help. So in terms of what we do from a technical perspective, so project for the web and planner, project online, Power BI, Power Apps developed in line with that, and all the automation tools that you've seen with approval gates and go into approvals and stuff. How we implement, so we always have along with the ProSci change management practitioners and APM. So we have a standard delivery framework that we always follow that allows for waterfall, agile, all the methods of delivery, and then we have loads of customer examples from case studies down the years, and we can also refer you to customers if you wanted to have a discussion about how we've implemented with them with our great relationships. So if you go one more. So how do we help? So we've got a couple of offerings and a couple of ways that we work to help you start taking advantage of the full capability planner. So firstly, we've got a number of fixed price deployments with key features and configurations that Sam's just taken you through briefly today. But ultimately, it doesn't matter where you are on your journey with work management. You're looking at proof of concepts all the way through to a full fixed working model in about 6 to 8 weeks. If you think your requirements are a bit more bespoke, or you're unsure of your requirements and you want us to help you work that out, we can also work through you in sort of discovery phase to map those requirements first, and then tailor that bespoke solution to your needs. And although everyone seems to have forgotten Viva Goals with Copilot being the big thing at the moment, we also work with pilot programs with Viva Goals so that you can align your projects with the OKRs, as Sam mentioned, or anything in between. We're very flexible, and we don't just help with tools. We also help with processes if you wanted to go through processes with various process assessments to help you get ready for a P3M tool. And we also offer some additional services to go along with all of our offerings. If you go one more, Sam. So with all of our services, we offer managed application support so that when we deliver services, it's always you have no problem with maintenance and ongoing issues. If you potentially didn't know what you wanted, or you have some resource inside and you just wanted some ad hoc support, we offer services like Architect as a Service or Augmented Resource, where you can have that world-class expert assistance on an ad hoc basis. If you already have gone through a PPM implementation and you didn't quite think it was where it needed to be, we offer health checks and we can provide roadmaps and recommendations. And if you have any of the tools that you've seen today already, we offer admin and user training and adoption and change management to ensure that you get the most out of the tool and your investment. But thank you very much for listening. If you have any questions on today, please let us know in the chat, or follow up with me and Sam directly afterwards. You can reach out to us on LinkedIn, and please do check some links to read what our clients say about us and some of the upcoming events we have soon. But thank you very much. Is there any questions? Because we do have 50 seconds.
That's there's any other questions in the chat. So
no, doesn't look like it.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone. We're going to end the call now. As I said, we'll be in touch with any kind of follow-ons. If you want to reach out to us, please just contact us via any of the items on screen.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Thanks, everyone.